Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. In our previous video, we have learned from the guidance and sunnah of our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam the importance of taking pre-dawn meal, sahur, for anyone who intends to fast. For that reason, we have taken our sahur. And now we are in the fasting hours of the day. Since we are already observing the fasting, it is time for us to discuss and highlight the character of the fasting Muslim, how the fasting Muslim is supposed to present himself. In a previous video highlighting the everlasting rewards for the fasting person, we learned from the Hadith Qudsi, part of a Hadith Qudsi, which was reported by Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim from the narration of Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, in which our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, قال الله تعالى كل عمل ابن آدم له إلا الصيام فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به. Every deed of the son of Adam is for him, meaning the rewards are already measured and informed. إلا الصيام, except for fasting, فإنه لي, for fasting is for me. وَأَنَا أَجِزِي بِهِ, I am the one who rewards for it. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one in charge of executing the rewards for the fasting person, which is unlimited for that matter. That was a part of a long hadith. Today we are taking the full hadith to learn the character upon which a fasting Muslim is supposed to position himself. The hadith says, قال الله تعالى كل عمل ابن آدم له إلا الصيام فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به. Every deed of the son of Adam is for him. إلا الصيام, except for fasting, فإنه لي, that is for me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وأنا أجزي به, and I am the one who rewards for it. والصيام جنة, and fasting is a shield or protection against fire, a shield or protection against evil doing, wrongdoing. So when one is fasting, he is expected to observe and be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is one. وَإِذَا كَانَ يَوْمُ صَوْمِ أَحَدِكُمْ فَلَا يَرْفُثْ وَلَا يَصْخَبْ. When one of you is fasting, when one of you is in a fasting day, فَلَا يَرْفُثْ, let him stay away from sexual discussions, of course with his legal or halal spouse. وَلَا يَصْخَبْ, and he should also not quarrel. No discussion of sexual related matters or topics, nor there is a need to engage in quarreling with anyone. And the hadith says, فَإِنْ سَابَّهُ أَحَدٌ أَوْ قَاتَلَهُ فَلْيَقُلْ إِنِّي امْرُؤٌ صَائِمٌ. If anyone is to engage him, to insult him, or to fight him, let him respond by saying, I am fasting. You can say that verbally, or you can actually say that with your body language by just staying away or ignoring, whichever works for the situation. وَالَّذِي نَفْسُ مُحَمَّدٍ بِيَدِهِ. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam swears by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the one in whose hand the soul of Muhammad is, لَخَلُوفُ فَمِ الصَّائِمِ أَطْيَبُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ رِيحِ الْمِسْكِ. The bad breath that comes from a fasting person, some people, when we fast, we produce bad breath as a result of empty stomach, especially if a person is having ulcer or some kind of sickness. لَخَلُوفُ فَمِ الصَّائِمِ أَطْيَبُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ رِيحِ الْمِسْكِ. The bad breath that is produced from the belly of a fasting person is more pleasant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the smell of musk. And then the hadith continues to say, لِلصَّائِمِ فَرْحَتَانِ. A fasting person has two occasions of happiness, enjoyment or celebration. إِذَا أَفْطَرَ فَرِحْ. When he breaks fast, it is for him also to celebrate or be happy. Breakfast can be at the end of the fasting day or also at the end of the fasting month. وَإِذَا لَقِيَ رَبَّهُ فَرِحَ بِصَوْمِهِ. And when he meets his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala, he becomes also happy for his fast. Because we have agreed that there is no need to try to find out whether my Ramadan was accepted or not. Just focus on doing what is supposed to be done, purifying the intention, ensuring sincerity, and leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The time for the reward is only in the hereafter. So after that, the Muslim should observe purity of his relationship with Allah, avoid shirk, anything that can nullify his faith or iman or Islam for that matter. So this is the first thing we learn to observe while we are fasting, is to be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To stay away from even halal discussions that does not relate to fasting, like sexual related topics which one may engage in with his halal spouse. That is halal to do, but when one is fasting, the Muslim should avoid doing that. In addition to that, he should also stay away from quarreling. He should stay away from fighting anyone, even if someone is trying to attack him. He should avoid that as possible. And not only that, also accept the fact that Allah acknowledges the sacrifice you are making. And if you happen to be producing bad breath, Allah knows that and you are rewarded for that. So with that, a fasting person is expected to be a peacemaker to the extreme level as possible. Besides being a peacemaker while fasting, of course, outside fasting also the Muslim is expected to be a peacemaker. Besides that, the Muslim is also expected to observe and preserve his integrity. Whether you are fasting or you are not fasting, but when you are fasting, the need to observe your integrity even becomes more important. This is understood from the hadith reported by Imam Al-Bukhari from the narration of Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, in which our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به فليس لله حاجة في أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. Whoever does not give up forged speech or fake speech or falsehood, either spreading falsehood, spreading fake news, وَالْعَمَلَ بِهِ, or accepting it and basing on it to make decisions and judgments, then فَلَيْسَ لِلَّهِ حَاجَةٌ فِي أَنْ يَدَعَ طَعَامَهُ وَشَرَابَهُ. Then Allah is not in need for him to give up his food and drinks. So it is not only that we fast, but we also abstain from any form of acts that may cause harm to others. In the first hadith, the hadith Qudsi, we learn to stay away from anyone who may try to cause harm to us. In this hadith, we are learning that we also have the responsibility to stay away from any form of activities that may cause harm to anyone in any ways or any means. Remaining mindful and reminded of these characters that the Muslim is supposed to observe while fasting is very important. It is important because a hungry man is an angry man, as they say. So when you are fasting, you can easily be intimidated. But just because one is intimidated does not mean that he forgets his purpose, he forgets what he's in, and he detach himself from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and react to evil or wrong doing against him. As we speak, we are still fasting. That's why we should be mindful of Allah and observe the good traits, the good characters a fasting Muslim should observe while fasting. In our next video, we will learn the Prophet's guide, the Prophet's way of breaking fast. Until then, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us what it takes to better and purify our dunya for the best interest of our akhirah. I leave you in His protection. See you in Jannah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.